King Solomon's Mines. King Solomon's mines represent one of history's most enduring treasure legends, rooted in biblical accounts of the ancient Israelite king's immense wealth. According to the Hebrew Bible, specifically 1 Kings 10:14, Solomon received 666 talents of gold annually, roughly equivalent to 25 tons, from mysterious mines whose location has sparked debate for millennia. The biblical text describes how Solomon's fleet would return every 3 years bearing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks, fueling speculation about distant sources of this wealth. Historians and archaeologists have proposed numerous locations for these legendary mines, from the Arabian Peninsula to Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, and even purely mythical interpretations. The 19th century saw numerous expeditions launched to find these mines, with H. Rider Haggard's 1885 adventure novel King Solomon's Mines permanently cementing the legend in popular imagination. Some scholars point to ancient copper and gold mines in the Timna Valley or the land of Ophir mentioned in biblical texts as possible historical basis for the legend. Others suggest the mines represent a conflation of various trading sources rather than a single location. Despite modern archaeological surveys using satellite imagery and ground surveys across proposed sites, no definitive evidence has emerged confirming the mine's existence or location, leaving Solomon's treasure as a powerful symbol of the intersection between faith, history, and the eternal human desire for hidden wealth. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant stands as Judaism's most sacred lost relic, described in the book of Exodus as a gold-covered wooden chest built to house the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai. According to biblical specifications in Exodus 25:10-22, the ark measured 2.5 cubits long by 1.5 cubits wide and high, approximately 131 by 79 by 79 centimeters, constructed from acacia wood overlaid with pure gold and topped with 2 golden cherubim facing each other with outstretched wings. The sacred chest also reportedly contained Aaron's rod and a jar of manna, and biblical accounts describe it possessing divine power that killed those who touched it improperly or approached it without proper authority. Historical records indicate the ark resided in the Holy of Holies within Solomon's temple in Jerusalem until it vanished from the historical record around the time of the Babylonian conquest in 586 BCE. The Bible's last mention appears in 2 Chronicles 35:3, after which the ark's fate becomes one of history's greatest mysteries. Numerous theories attempt to explain its disappearance. Destruction during the Babylonian siege, hidden in secret chambers beneath the Temple Mount before the invasion, or transport to Ethiopia where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims to possess it in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum, though this claim remains unverified as the alleged ark is never displayed or examined. Other theories place it in caves near the Dead Sea, in Ireland, or even transported to Zimbabwe, though no archaeological evidence supports any location definitively. The treasures of the Copper Scroll. The Copper Scroll represents one of the most intriguing artifacts among the Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1952 in Cave 3 at Qumran, distinguished as the only Dead Sea Scroll inscribed on metal, rather than parchment or papyrus. Unlike the religious texts found in other caves, this copper tin alloy sheet, measuring approximately 2.4 meters when unrolled, contains 64 entries describing locations where massive quantities of gold and silver were allegedly hidden, totaling an estimated 4,600 talents, or roughly 140 tons of precious metals. The scroll, dated to approximately 50 to 100 CE, lists specific geographical locations around Jerusalem and the Dead Sea region in Hebrew, with entries like, in the ruin of Horeba, which is in the valley of Asshur, 42 talents, providing what appears to be a genuine ancient treasure map. Scholars remain deeply divided about the scroll's nature and purpose. Some believe it documents actual Second Temple treasure hidden before the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE, while others argue the quantities described are impossibly large and likely represent a pious fiction or literary device. The scroll's cryptic directions reference landmarks and locations that existed 2 millennia ago, many now impossible to identify with certainty, which has frustrated numerous archaeological expeditions launched since its discovery. Despite extensive searches by professional archaeologists and amateur treasure hunters across Israel and the Palestinian territories, none of the 64 caches described in the Copper Scroll has been successfully located and recovered, leaving the question of whether these treasures ever existed as one of archaeology's most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. the treasures of Prester John. The legend of Prester John represents one of medieval Europe's most influential fantasies, describing a fabulously wealthy Christian kingdom supposedly existing somewhere in the east, complete with palaces built from precious stones and miraculous treasures that captivated European imagination for centuries. The legend gained widespread circulation through a letter that appeared around 1165 CE, allegedly written by Prester John himself, describing his realm in extravagant detail: a palace with walls made of precious stones, ceilings of fine emeralds, a magical mirror that could reveal conspiracies and invasions throughout his kingdom, and a table constructed from a single massive emerald supported by pillars of amethyst. According to the letter, this mysterious priest-king ruled over a vast territory in India, a term medieval Europeans used vaguely to describe lands beyond the Islamic world, claiming dominion over 72 vassal kings and territories rich beyond European comprehension. The legend served multiple purposes in medieval Christian consciousness, offering hope of a powerful Christian ally beyond Muslim-controlled territories during the Crusades era, and justifying exploration eastward. Portuguese expeditions to Ethiopia in the 15th and 16th centuries were partly motivated by attempts to locate Prester John's kingdom, with some explorers eventually identifying Ethiopian Christian rulers as possible connections to the legend. The story influenced European cartography, diplomacy, and exploration for over 400 years, despite being entirely fictional, representing not actual treasure but rather European wishful thinking about Christian kingdoms and wealth existing in mysterious eastern lands, mixing geographical confusion with religious aspirations and colonial ambitions. Genghis Khan's tomb treasures. Genghis Khan's burial site remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries, reportedly containing vast treasures accumulated from the Mongol Empire's conquests across Asia, deliberately hidden in a location that has eluded discovery for nearly 800 years. According to historical accounts, including those recorded by Marco Polo, when Khan died in August 1227 near Mongolia's Khinti Mountains, his followers went to extraordinary lengths to conceal the burial location, allegedly killing everyone encountered along the funeral procession route to eliminate witnesses. The secret history of the Mongols and other contemporary sources describe how an army of 2,000 horses trampled the burial site to erase all surface traces, and some accounts claim a river was diverted to flow over the tomb, ensuring permanent concealment. The treasures reportedly buried with Khan would represent the accumulated wealth of his conquests across China, Persia, Central Asia, and Russia: gold, silver, precious gems, weapons, horses, silk, manuscripts, and according to some accounts, servants buried alive to serve him in the afterlife. Modern searches have employed satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and archaeological surveys across the Mongolian steppe, with Burkhan Khaldun Mountain considered the most likely location based on historical references to sacred mountains. However, the Mongolian government restricts excavation in certain areas due to cultural and religious respect for the site, and local tradition holds that disturbing the tomb would release a terrible curse. The combination of deliberate concealment, vast terrain, centuries of environmental changes, and cultural protections means Khan's tomb and its treasures remain hidden, representing not just material wealth, but the zenith of the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Yamashita's gold. Yamashita's gold refers to alleged massive caches of war loot, supposedly hidden by Japanese forces in the Philippines during World War II, named after General Tomoyuki Yamashita, though the treasure's existence remains highly controversial and unverified despite decades of searching. According to claims that emerged after the war, Japanese forces systematically looted Southeast Asian territories during their occupation from 1942 to 1945, accumulating gold bullion, precious gems, religious artifacts, and cultural treasures from Burma, Thailand, Malaya, Singapore, and other conquered regions. Proponents of the legend claim this wealth was transported to the Philippines and hidden in an extensive network of tunnels and caves before Japan's surrender, with estimates of the treasure's value ranging wildly from $100 billion to $300 billion, though these figures lack credible evidence. The most famous case associated with the legend involves Rogelio Roxas, who claimed to have discovered a 1-ton golden Buddha statue and gold bars in the 1970s, subsequently alleging that Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos confiscated his find, leading to a 1996 Hawaii court judgment awarding $43 billion against the Marcos estate, though this judgment was never collected. The Japanese government has consistently denied that any such treasure existed, noting that while wartime looting did occur, the scale described in treasure legends vastly exceeds documented war crimes. Despite the lack of verified discoveries, treasure hunting became an industry in the Philippines, with numerous deaths occurring as searchers excavated dangerous tunnel systems. While historical records confirm Japanese forces committed theft and looted cultural artifacts during their occupation, credible historians and archaeologists consider the massive treasure cache claims to be either greatly exaggerated or entirely fabricated. The Peacock Throne. The Peacock Throne represents one of history's most spectacular examples of imperial wealth and artistic achievement, commissioned by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, who also built the Taj Mahal and completed between 1628 and 1635 as the centerpiece of his court in Delhi's Red Fort. Historical records, including detailed accounts by French jewel merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who witnessed the throne, describe it as constructed from approximately 1,150 kilograms of solid gold and adorned with roughly 230 kilograms of precious stones, including 108 large rubies, 116 emeralds, and countless diamonds, with the most famous being the Koh-i-Noor diamond. The throne earned its name from two magnificent peacock sculptures, with spread jewel-encrusted tails that flanked the seat, which measured approximately 6 feet by 4 feet, and stood on golden legs with a canopy supported by 12 pillars covered in emeralds. Contemporary sources indicate the throne's construction cost 100,000 rupees, an astronomical sum with modern purchasing power estimated between $800 million and $5 billion, representing 7 years of continuous work by master craftsmen. The throne symbolized Mughal power at its absolute zenith until 1739, when Persian ruler Nadir Shah invaded Delhi and looted the treasure, transporting it to Persia as the ultimate war prize. After reaching Tehran, the throne's fate becomes unclear, with most historians believing Nadir Shah had it dismantled and the jewels distributed or incorporated into Persian royal regalia, following his assassination in 1747. Despite various later thrones called Peacock Throne by Persian and Indian rulers, none match the original's magnificence, and the actual fate of Shah Jahan's masterpiece remains unknown, with its components likely scattered across private collections, lost or destroyed, representing one of art history's greatest cultural losses. The Library of the Nanda Dynasty. The Nanda dynasty ruled the powerful kingdom of Magadha in northern India during the 4th century BCE, and classical sources describe their capital at Pataliputra, modern-day Patna on the Ganges River, as containing both a legendary treasury and an extensive library of astronomical and mathematical texts. Greek historians who accompanied Alexander the Great's campaigns, including Curtius Rufus and references in Plutarch's works, describe the Nanda wealth as exceeding all other kingdoms encountered, with resources sufficient to maintain a standing army that ancient sources claim included 200,000 infantry, 80,000 cavalry, 8,000 war chariots, and 6,000 war elephants, though these numbers may represent exaggerations typical of classical accounts. Sanskrit texts and Puranas reference the dynasty's last ruler, Dhanananda, whose name literally means wealthy Nanda, and describe his treasury as ocean-like in its vastness, containing gold reserves accumulated through efficient taxation and control of trade routes along the Ganges. Beyond material wealth, tradition suggests the royal library contained important astronomical calculations, mathematical treatises, and administrative records, representing accumulated knowledge of pre-Mauryan Indian civilization. The dynasty fell around 321 BCE, when Chandragupta Maurya, with assistance from the strategist Chanakya, overthrew the last Nanda ruler and established the Mauryan Empire, though historical records provide no clear account of what happened to the treasury or library during this transition. Some scholars speculate that at least portions of the wealth and texts transferred to the succeeding Mauryan administration, while others suggest treasures may have been hidden or lost during the violent overthrow. No archaeological excavations have successfully located the Nanda treasury, and the ancient library's texts, if they existed as described, have not survived, leaving this wealth as a tantalizing glimpse into India's pre-Mauryan prosperity known primarily through classical accounts. The treasures of Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat, the massive temple complex built by Khmer King Suryavarman II between 1113 and 1150 CE in present-day Cambodia, originally functioned as a Hindu temple dedicated to Vishnu and housed extraordinary treasures befitting one of history's most powerful Southeast Asian empires. Chinese diplomat Zhou Dagan, who visited Angkor in 1296 to 1297, documented his observations in The Customs of Cambodia, describing the central sanctuary's golden tower and mentioning a massive golden statue of Buddha, indicating the wealth displayed even after the temple's conversion from Hindu to Buddhist use. Historical accounts and archaeological evidence suggest the temple complex originally contained a 3.6-meter golden statue of Vishnu in the central tower, along with numerous smaller golden statues, jeweled artifacts, religious implements made from precious metals, and libraries housing sacred texts inscribed on gold and silver plates. The temple's wealth reflected the Khmer Empire's prosperity, derived from sophisticated hydraulic engineering enabling productive rice cultivation, extensive trade networks, and tributary relationships with neighboring kingdoms. However, centuries of warfare, dynastic changes, and foreign invasions systematically stripped Angkor of its treasures, with significant looting occurring during conflicts with Siamese kingdoms, the colonial French period when artifacts were exported to European museums, and the devastating Khmer Rouge era from 1975 to 1979. Today, museums worldwide house Angkorian artifacts removed during various periods, while the original treasures Zhou Daguan described have been scattered, melted down, or destroyed, leaving the magnificent stone architecture as the primary surviving testament to Khmer civilization. The temple's empty galleries and towers, now devoid of their golden contents, represent both the grandeur of medieval Southeast Asian civilization and the cultural heritage loss resulting from centuries of conflict and colonial exploitation. The Emerald Buddha's lost companions. The Emerald Buddha, Thailand's most sacred religious object currently housed in Bangkok's Wat Phra Kew, stands 66 centimeters tall and is carved from a single block of jade, not emerald as its name suggests, with its origins traced to discovery in Chiang Rai in 1434, when lightning reportedly struck open a chetty revealing the statue inside. Thai legends and various historical chronicles mention that this revered statue originally had two companion pieces, a ruby Buddha and a sapphire Buddha, forming a sacred trio of jeweled Buddhist images associated with the Lanna Kingdom in northern Thailand during the 15th century. According to these traditions, the three statues were separated during the turbulent period of warfare between Thai kingdoms and Burmese invasions, with stories claiming the ruby Buddha was carried off to Burma during one of the many conflicts that plagued the region, while the sapphire Buddha was allegedly hidden in a secret location before Burmese forces could seize it. The Emerald Buddha itself traveled extensively through Southeast Asian history, moving from Chiang Rai to Chiang Mai, then to Laos for over 2 centuries, before King Rama I brought it to Bangkok in 1778, where it has remained as Thailand's palladium, believed to bring prosperity and protection to the kingdom. Multiple expeditions have searched temples and archaeological sites across northern Thailand and Burma seeking evidence of the companion statues, motivated by both religious significance and the immense cultural value such discoveries would represent. However, no credible archaeological or historical evidence has emerged confirming the companion statues ever existed beyond legend, with many scholars suggesting these tales represent later mythological embellishments added to enhance the Emerald Buddha's mystique and sacred status. The legend persists in Thai popular culture and continues to inspire treasure hunters, though the companion Buddhas remain firmly in the realm of folklore rather than documented history. The treasure fleet of Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan's massive naval invasion fleet, sent to conquer Japan in 1281 CE, met catastrophic destruction when a powerful typhoon struck off Takashima Island on August 15th to 16th, sending an estimated 60 to 90% of the 4,400 ships and 140,000 soldiers to the bottom of the sea in what the Japanese celebrated as kamikaze, or divine wind, saving their nation from Mongol conquest. Historical records from both Chinese and Japanese sources document this second invasion attempt, following a failed first attempt in 1274 with the fleet departing from ports in China and Korea carrying not only military forces but likely significant quantities of provisions, military pay in the form of bronze coins, and possibly precious metals, tribute goods, and supplies necessary for sustaining such a massive expedition. The question of treasure aboard these vessels depends on whether they carried primarily military materials or also included tribute wealth from Kublai Khan's vast empire, with some historians suggesting significant gold and silver would have been transported to pay troops and establish administration of a conquered Japan. Modern underwater archaeology has made significant discoveries since the 1980s, with expeditions recovering bronze weapons, ceramic bombs, anchor stones, ship timbers, and thousands of artifacts confirming the fleet's location and providing insights into Mongol naval technology and military equipment. A significant discovery in 2011 located what appears to be a well-preserved ship hull off Nagasaki, though excavation and preservation of waterlogged wooden vessels present substantial technical challenges. While archaeologists have not recovered massive treasure hoards, the artifacts found represent invaluable historical evidence of the Mongol invasions, and the possibility remains that undiscovered portions of the fleet may contain more valuable cargo, as only a fraction of the estimated 4,400 ships have been located and examined, leaving this underwater archaeological site as both a confirmed historical disaster and a potential source of future discoveries. The Imperial Seals of China. The Imperial Seals of China, particularly the legendary heirloom seal of the realm, represent the ultimate symbol of Chinese imperial legitimacy, with the most famous carved from the precious He-Shi jade and commissioned by Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, in 221 BCE, bearing the inscription, "Having received the mandate from heaven, may the emperor lead a long and prosperous life." This seal, measuring approximately 10 centimeters square and 3 centimeters thick, according to historical descriptions, became the definitive symbol that whoever possessed it held legitimate authority to rule all of China, making it not merely valuable as a jade artifact, but priceless as a political and cultural symbol spanning 2 millennia. The He-Shi jade itself carried legendary status even before becoming the imperial seal, discovered in the 7th century BCE, with stories recorded in the records of the grand historian by Sima Qian about wars fought over its possession. Historical records document the seal's turbulent journey through Chinese history, lost and rediscovered multiple times as dynasties rose and fell, sometimes seized by force, other times surrendered peacefully to legitimize new rulers, with its possession considered essential for claiming the mandate of heaven. The seal's last confirmed sighting occurred during the later Tang dynasty in the 10th century CE, after which it vanished from historical records despite extensive searches by subsequent dynasties, with later rulers creating replacement seals that never achieved the original's legitimacy or mystique. Numerous theories attempt to explain its disappearance: destruction during warfare, burial with an emperor hidden in a location now lost to memory, or sinking into a river during flight from invaders, though no archaeological evidence has emerged in over 1,000 years. The seal's worth transcends material value, representing the continuity and legitimacy of Chinese civilization itself, making it among the most culturally significant lost artifacts in Chinese history, sought by emperors, collectors, and archaeologists, but remaining lost for approximately 1 millennium. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.